Wild Remit helped me give you the best start in life. Even if I couldn't be there to see it. I know it wasn't easy comparing yourself to your friends, but the money I sent home meant that you could be right there alongside them today. I'm so proud to be your mother, almost as proud as you must be now that you're starting an incredible new chapter. Wild Remit helped me give you the best start in life. Even if I couldn't be there to see it. I know it wasn't easy comparing yourself to your friends, but the money I sent home meant that you could be right there alongside them today. I'm so proud to be your mother, almost as proud as you must be now that you're starting an incredible new chapter. Wild Remit helped me give you the best start in life. Even if I couldn't be there to see it. I know it wasn't easy comparing yourself to your friends, but the money I sent home meant that you could be right there alongside them today. I'm so proud to be your mother, almost as proud as you must be now that you're starting an incredible new chapter.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Dentist Show Live. It's another Sunday where we're going to be having another great conversation that matters to our community. And I have three amazing women who are going to be joining me. Now, I took up this mantle that this month we are going to celebrate Yaa Asantewaa, because this month marks 100 years since our Queen Mother, our warrior queen, passed away. Now, for those of you who don't know the story of Yaa Asantewaa was a queen mother in the Ashanti region. Now, during the time where the Brits were in Ghana trying to take our golden stool, they had put King Prempeh into prison. And so she went, I'm cutting a very long story short here. Okay, so she went into the palace where the chiefs were, because, you know, when they put the king into prison, the chiefs were all kind of like shocked, you know, a bit scared, you know, what are we going to do? But this woman stood up and said, look, if you, the men of Ashanti, will not fight, we, the women, will. And I thought that that is such a powerful thing for her to do. So her and the women went to fight the Brits. And because of her, it is because of her that we had our independence. And the Brits never took the golden stool. All they managed to take was her stool, her personal stool, which, can you imagine that I have found the woman that bought the golden stool, I mean, her Nana Yaa Asantewaa's stool, and eventually bought it back with ex-President John Kufuor. And so it's such an amazing story. Like, Yaa Asantewaa's story should be a movie. Like, there are books. I know Ivor Ajimai Dua has written a book on Yaa Asantewaa. Many others have as well. And I feel that it's just a powerful, powerful story of resilience, of a woman who is courageous, confident, assertive. And we are discussing, what does it take for a modern woman to lead with courage, love, and strength? Hashtag Yaa Asantewaa. So I want you guys to think about it. Who is the modern day Yaa Asantewaa? You know, how do we lead with courage, love, and strength? We talk about women empowerment all the time. How does we as women do that? How do we do that and still manage a family? How do we do that and still run a business? And, you know, I have three different women in three different fields who are going to be discussing this topic with me. And I want to hear from all of you out there who are watching the show tonight, to let me know where you're watching from and how you feel about this topic as well, how you feel about Yaa Asantewaa. Do you know the story of Yaa Asantewaa? Do you think that we've promoted her enough? Because this year we are celebrating her in a big way. We are doing the Goober Awards in Ghana for the first time, honoring the courageous woman, Yaa Asantewaa. And I think that it's such a powerful story. Hello, Jada's watching from Trinidad. Oh, nice. We have somebody watching from Togo. Fantastic. Blessings from Jamaica. Wow. Thank you all for watching the show. I know a lot of the church members from Prophetess Leslie's church are watching as well. I welcome you all. I know that you just had finished a service, and so I appreciate you coming to watch the show today. So let me introduce Chicago, USA, Italy. Wow. 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 Thank you so much. And please let me know if you know the story of Yaa Asantewaa. Please, comment in the box. Don't forget to follow, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to like, and don't forget to share. We want to make sure that this topic that we discuss is powerful enough and makes us reflect enough. So make sure that you share the page as much as possible. Let me introduce my mentor and a Goober board member, Cynthia Kweku, who I call her Marcy. So just in case I don't say Cynthia Kweku on the show and you hear Marcy, is because that's what I'm used to calling her. I'll get Marcy to just introduce herself, what she does, her legal firm, which Goober uses. She is a lawyer as well. And it's very important that you have lawyers, guys. If you have a business, you need to make sure that you have a lawyer. And somebody that can guide you, and you also do need a mentor. And I think that's important for a modern day courageous woman to be able to give back and be a mentor as well. So let me introduce my mentor onto the stage. Marcy.
Hey.
Good evening.
Denta. The modern day Yaa Asantewaa herself, Denta Mwate. I'm not sure, but I'm going to stage a coup. I think what we should be doing, the three of us, is turning those questions to you and asking you the very question that you want to ask us, because you are a symbol of the modern day Yaa Asantewaa. I'm glad to be here again.
So are you. I mean, everybody on this platform today is a modern day Yaa Asantewaa. Because when we talk about your journey, what you have been through, you're a fighter, and you've always been a fighter. From mother of 6, and it is breast cancer month as well. You've battled breast cancer twice. And so,
yes.
When we talk about women who are Yaa Asantewaas, you are a perfect representation of a Yaa Asantewaa. So please,
thank you very much. Humbled.
Yeah, no, let's talk about a little bit about your journey so that the people who have never seen you on this platform hear a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so his name is Cynthia Kweku. I have 6 children, a mother of 6. I wouldn't like to call them children now. My last one is 18. The first is nearly 29. So, but I think I still have the right to call them my children. I am a lawyer by profession. I'm the founder and managing partner of CQ Legal and Consulting in Accra, a barrister of England and Wales, and also a barrister and solicitor of the courts of Ghana. What else do I say? I'm a cancer survivor. I am a mentor to many, as well as being mentored by many. My journey has been one of resilience and determination. I was raised by a Yaa Asantewaa myself, as many of you probably were, so that I had no option but to do what I was grown up to do, which is definitely just fight and work hard and be resilient and just keep moving. I mean, we women, we're just the embodiment of such strength. I think sometimes we take our strength for granted, but that's me in a nutshell. I'm sure that as we talk, you get to know a bit more of my journey and why I'm humbled to be on this platform this evening to speak to all of you. Can't hear you. Are you muted? Yes.
I'm on mute. I'm so sorry.
Yes, that's okay.
Thank you so much, Marcy, for the introduction. I'm now going to introduce another Yaa Asantewaa, who is Efia Adum. And she is my UK sister, she's a TV presenter, journalist as well. She's gone through the ranks. And, you know, for me, I remember her, first of all, she used to write for some of the papers. And, you know, going from that to be on screen, on the breakfast shows in the UK, I'm talking about prime time, BBC, ITV, you know, and she's just making us proud. And when you hear her name, you're just like, oh my God, there's my sister. And she's always repping. And so it's an honor to have Ifwa Adom on the show as well. So Ifwa, welcome.
Hello, thank you so very much for that introduction. I feel like it's hard to follow Masi with her story and the incredible things that she does, but thank you so much for that intro. So like you said, yes, I'm a journalist and a broadcaster. I've been doing what I do for maybe 15 years or so. And like you so rightly said, I've risen through the ranks. I've done every job from runner and now on screen, which is incredible. It's been an incredible 2 years, I think, when I really sort of broken through the ranks and got to where I am now. I'm a mum of one, living in London, but I was born in Glasgow, hence the accent.
A very strong accent.
Yes, it is still there. I'm very proud of that. Yes, so journalist and broadcaster on screen, always repping, always trying to give a voice for the voiceless and do it in, you know, the calmest and most intelligent way possible. I don't like to shout on live TV, but I like to be stern and to the point. Yes, like our Yaa Asantewaa.
Yes, definitely. And you know, for you to get where you are, you need to have strength, right?
Yes.
You need to be courageous. You need to be confident, and you need to be up, right? Because we don't see such a dark-skinned girl like yourself with big hair on our screens. No,
it's true.
And you know, you haven't, you know, you're not one that wears, you know, trying to change your style to fit the broadcast, right?
No.
And so it's just really nice to see that. And I know that must have been difficult.
You know what? It is. And it certainly has its moments, you know. And I think initially, when you're brought on to do a Good Morning Britain or a This Morning or a Jeremy Vine, you can be very pigeonholed at first. Okay, she's black, she's dark skinned, she can talk about racism, you know, or she can talk about racism, basically. But I think once, you know, people get to know who you are and what you're capable of, they see past the dark skin, they see past the big hair, they see past the bright colors, and hopefully they just see a good journalist. And I think over the past 2 years has really given broadcasters more of an opportunity to look at who they would have on their shows, for instance. I mean, I do so much of my work for BBC Scotland, talking about Scottish issues and growing up there, and they would never have looked at me before, partly because they would want people in the studio, and COVID meant that everything was done virtually, exactly like what we're doing now. So opened up the pool of people that they could choose from. And suddenly I was in there because I had an accent, because I knew about Scottish politics and I knew about what's happening on the ground there. So that brings you in. But yes, it's hard. And you most certainly have to have a backbone. You must certainly have to have a sense of humor. But I think for me personally, I've never been able to be anything else apart from myself. And if you don't want me on your show because you don't like the big hair, you don't like the dark skin, and you don't like the green dress, then actually I don't want to be on your show. You don't deserve me and my talent and what I'm capable of. And I've always kept that. And that keeps the naysayers away, I think. You kind of keep your echo chamber small because you work with people who want to work with you.
Absolutely. Definitely a Yaa Asantewaa. Now, before I introduce the prophetess, I met her in the USA, New York, at the Goober Awards, and she's become a sister since then. And you know, I remember at the time she had 4 kids like me, right? And then it was she was beating me 5. Then she beat me again 6, and then I'm just looking at her and I'm just like, and she's still looking fabulous. And like,
I need to catch up on you ladies. I need just one. I'm not doing well.
and then I'm like, prophetess, like I watch her Instagram and sometimes her live, and I'm just like, how is she doing this? Like literally, she'll have a baby and then she's looking so fabulous afterwards. And she's just an incredible speaker, an incredible preacher, very inspirational, and it's an honor to have her on. And I have a little video for you guys so that you can get a little snippet of who this incredible woman is.
Prophetess Leslie Osei is the wife of Apostle Dominic Osei, a mother of 5 children, co-pastor, entrepreneur, and an author. Prophetess Leslie Osei is an international speaker and leading prophetic voice with the backing of the Holy Spirit. One of her many passions is mentoring women to study the Word of God while identifying their calling and gifts. The founder of the Think Pink Women's Conference, aimed at creating a platform to empower all women while experiencing the power and manifestation of the Holy Ghost.
So please welcome my sister, Prophetess Leslie Osei. Hey, sis.
Hello. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Hi.
Yes.
How are you? We can hear you.
I'm good. I'm good by God's grace. Good. Such an honor to be with you all. Very inspiring women. Masi, I do follow you. You're so inspiring. And Denta, I only have 5. You're trying to give me one more.
So I was like, when I watched the video, I was like, okay, only 5. But I'm sure the 6 will be on its way very soon.
I'm waiting. I'm waiting for you to
No, we're
catch
done.
up.
We're done.
I'm waiting for you to catch up.
So, Prophetess, tell us a bit about yourself, the church. I mean, we've heard in the intro, and about the work that you do with women.
All right. So my husband and I, the Lord called us into ministry. I'm also a counselor as well. The Lord gave us a church here in Connecticut, and it's been doing awesome. God is doing His own thing here, and we're very excited. In 5 years, I pushed out 5 kids by the grace of God, and by the grace of God, we're building a church here in Connecticut from scratch. We were recently in Ghana. We're planting wells all over the place. We just bought some property to build a school on, and here we're doing a lot of stuff. I have an annual women's conference that I do yearly, and by God's grace, people, and I'm trusting that, with God and some hard work, it'll be prosperous.
It will absolutely be. But Marcy, did you hear this? 5 children in 5 years.
Yes. I mean, I was like, look, hand her the award. I certainly didn't do it in 5 years or 6 years. So she is the undisputed heavyweight champion, so far as I'm concerned.
Definitely.
Oh, amazing.
And she looks absolutely fabulous. She looks absolutely fabulous.
She looks stunning.
Thank you.
And and that is a strong woman. For you to be able to have 5 children, still doing your ministry, still doing leadership, counseling as well with your husband, that shows that how much of a strong woman that you are. So my first question to you all is, who would you describe as a modern day woman who represents a Yaa Asantewaa?
Okay. I did think through this maybe half an hour before I jumped on the show. Then it hit me that it was a deep question, I think a woman who's a modern day Yaa Asantewaa understands her purpose. It starts with knowing your purpose, knowing why you're here, knowing that you are relevant, knowing that you matter, knowing that you were created to do something special. It starts with that. Because in my journey, when I did realize that I had purpose, and this was incidentally after my 2 battles with cancer, a divorce, and I was literally down, that's when I understood my purpose. And I think it was reinforced because I knew that God had given me another opportunity to live. And it was because I had purpose to fulfill. And once I embraced that purpose, and it didn't mean that I knew what exactly I wanted to do or what I was supposed to do, but I knew that wherever God placed me, that purpose was going to make sure that I delivered on my destiny. So for me, it starts with purpose.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
What do you think a modern day Yaa Asantewaa represents?
Gosh, Massey's right. It's a very deep question, and I really agree with what she said there about purpose. And I think anybody can be a modern day Yaa Asantewaa. I think it's a woman who knows, knows what she wants and knows how to get it, but does it with grace and heart and power. It's all about realizing that the power we have in ourselves and harnessing it and using it correctly. But I also think a modern day Yaa Asantewaa is a woman who chooses herself, and by that, that's a woman who she is a main character in her own life, right? There's so much of the time that we put other people first, men, children, whatever, aunts and uncles, people who depend on us. But you cannot pour from an empty cup. My mum says this to me all the time. You cannot pour from an empty cup. And unless we choose ourselves and pour into ourselves first, we're never going to be able to pour into others. We're not going to be able to pour into our families, into our jobs, into our friends, into our ministries. We're not going to be able to do that. So by choosing yourself and loving yourself first and making sure that you're always at 80%, that's how you pour into others. That's how you pour into your purpose. That's how you pour into the work that you're supposed to do. So to me, a modern day Yaa Asantewaa is a woman that recognizes that and recognizes how to pour into herself and make sure that she herself is nourished and her heart is full for her to be able to do whatever it is she needs to do to make those changes, to be positive in the world that we live in. I also do think, though, choosing yourself is hard. It's the hardest thing to do because it's very easy to choose other people. It's very easy to put your happiness in the hands of a man or into the success of your family. But you have to be able to have happiness from really, really deep down within. So yeah, to me, a modern day Yaa Asantewaa is a woman who pours into herself, who chooses herself, and then she's able to sow into others.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Ifwa. Prophetess, how do you add on to that? Well, how do you see a modern day Yaa Asantewaa?
I would say modern day Yaa Asantewaa is multifaceted. And I say that because there's this reasoning that people have that you have to be one thing and one thing only, when God called us to be many things. And I recently learned that, the famous saying, Jack of all trades, master of none, there's an addition to that. It says master of none, but it's still better than someone who knows nothing. And so a modern day woman is someone who has allowed themselves to understand that they can be a mother, they can be a businesswoman, they can be a servant of the Lord, they can do it all. It may not be balanced, but you still have an understanding that God called you to be and to do so many different things. I think many times, people will say, I'm a mom and they want me to be this and they want me to be that, but that's also fine. You can be a mom And I'm always mom. Right now, if my children were here, that's why I couldn't give you it. Children were here with me. It's mom first. But by God's grace, my mom was able to take care of them. And so once she says she'll take care of them, then I can put on my, speaker hat. I can put on any entrepreneurial hat. I can put on something. And so a modern day woman, most of the time, is able to be different things at different times.
Love that. Love that. I think, what everybody has said is so strong and so powerful. And you are right. And I think I definitely agree with my C when she talks about what is your purpose? What is our purpose? And then I also agree with you, Ifwa, when you talk about, pouring into ourselves, loving ourselves. You have to be able to love yourself first. And that will enable you to be confident enough, to be assertive, to be confident, to be able to speak. And I agree also with Prophetess, multifaceted. Absolutely. We all wear many hats. Think about it. If you write down the list of things that you do,
Yeah.
so many.
It will go on and on and on.
Yeah. And people always ask, how do you do it? I'm sure you get that question.
Yeah.
How do you do it? How do you manage your
All the
children?
time.
How do you manage your work? How do you manage this? But God gives us the strength to be able to do each and everything that we're able to do. Okay, so how do you think our roles as women in society have evolved over the years compared to the days of Yaa Asantewaa? I'll go with Marcy again.
I'm not really sure whether it's evolved. It's become a lot more open. So far as I remember, women have always supported economically the homes. Women have always played an instrumental part in communities. Yaa Asantewaa is a story of that. What has changed is that our voices are resounding a bit more. We're demanding more a place at the table. But we've always been there. I remember when I turned 50, I wrote an article about 5 decades and 5 lessons. And one of the things I talked about was the fact that I didn't know any other way, but when people ask me, how do you do it? How do you combine having children and having a career? I've always been around it. My mom worked. She took care of me. Even my aunties who were supposed to be housewives, I remember selling on the side to support their homes silently. They always either had a little stall somewhere, they were cooking and selling somewhere. They were always economically supporting the home. Of course, we're a lot more educated, but I think that I really don't see that, we've sort of moved away. That would be a disservice to Yaa Asantewaa, because we know her story. And it's not a modern day story. This was 100+ years ago. She died 100 years ago.
Yeah.
And if you look at that story, that was a leader. That was somebody who was protective. The modern day president of a nation, really, in my view. So I definitely, we've got more of a platform. We're more educated, and so it's a bit more visible. But I think women have always, sort of been on that journey.
How do you think we have evolved?
I think I have to agree with Marcy and what she said there. I think women have always been at the forefront. We've always been in leadership. If we think of women through time, of course, we've got the Yaa Asantewaa story, which was 100 years ago. In the 1940s, here in the United Kingdom, where I am, when there was a world war, all the men went off to war and all the women stayed behind and filled in all the men's jobs and kept the homes going. Look at the 3 women that started the Black Lives Matter movement in 2013. Look at Stacey
Exactly.
Abrams and what she did in Georgia during the election. Look at our MVP, Kamala Harris. Look at Doreen Lawrence and the work that she's done with police reform. Look at Jacinda Ardern, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. There's women throughout history who have always been at the forefront. The women have always been there. They've always been the backbone of the community. And that's any community, whether you're here in London, whether you're in Connecticut, whether you're in Accra. Women are the backbone of the community. So we've always been there. But like Marcy said, we have more of a voice. We're more visible. We're less likely to let the men take the credit for what we have always done. You know, we're much more, we have ownership. We have much more agency to say that actually, we kept this community going. We ran that country. We ran that campaign. We started that movement. So I think it's evolved in the sense that we have more agency, we have more control, and we are brave enough, much braver, to speak up and say, this is what we have done, what we have been doing, and what we'll continue to do. But women have always been the backbone, and will continue to be.
Thank you. Thank you. Prophetess, anything to add to that? I think you're on mute.
I would say I would agree with everyone across the board. And I would even take it a step further to say that we are now creating our own tables. I believe before, in Yaa Asantewaa's days, it was a matter of when the king was not there, that's when she had to step up, and she did such a fabulous job of doing so. But now you see women creating their own tables. They're like, you won't let me sit here, but I'm going to create something so dynamic and so superb, and I don't have to be bitter to do it. And I can be all around fabulous. I can still love my children, love my husband, and still create something that is worth leaving when I die one day, a legacy that is worth it. And so I think women are stronger, they're bolder, they're more willing, they're more daring. The ideologies of past now, we look at it with a magnifying glass to see which ones we should take and which ones don't serve us anymore.
Powerful, absolutely powerful. So would you say, does every woman qualify as a modern day Yaa Asantewaa?
I personally would say no. I believe that it's more of an inner thing when you decide and you develop who you are, one in Christ, and you are able to stand on your bearings and you have an understanding of who you are, then you move in your lane. Most people, because they are either, and I'm happy and I love what you do because you're so celebrating of not just Ghanaians, but of women as well too. And I believe that in order to be a modern woman, you have to put the old caddish ways aside. Women don't fight anymore. We're trying to build each other up. We're trying to have empires together. We're trying to be seated at the next mansion with the other person. And so most people, if you don't have that mind shift and you're still back in the 1920s where women fight and they're on the phone doing caddish things, then you cannot be considered as a modern day woman. But when you have an evolving mindset and you decide that, this is a new day, I got to get my own, then we can consider you as a modern day woman.
Marcy.
I mean, I agree with that, but I'll say that it's about potential. I think every woman has a potential to be a Yaa Asantewaa. And once you recognize that, and as Prophetess said, it starts with you're knowing who you are in Christ. That's where the purpose comes from. Unfortunately, many go to the grave without really realizing the potential they have to be Yaa Asantewaas in their own right. I'm a believer and a nurturer, so I like to see people with those types so that yes, we all have that potential in us, but it's recognizing that potential is another thing. But once you do recognize that purpose and potential, then you can be the modern day Yaa Asantewaa.
Do we have that potential? Do we all have that potential?
I think everybody has the potential, but it's whether you choose to unlock it, whether you choose to do something with it, whether you choose to recognize the potential within. Because I would disagree with what Prophetess said, that I think women are still mean, right? And women are still catty, unfortunately. And women are still tearing themselves down. You know what it's like in the media industry, especially in the United Kingdom, then, so you know how that can be, right? And but that comes from competition, and it comes from, you know, there is a handful of dark-skinned Black women on TV. Let's be really real. I'm one of maybe 10 or 12. And so, and not within that circle, I don't personally see cattishness, but it's there. There's competition because there's fear that you can be that you have to be the only one, because there's not as many opportunities. It's better now because we're building our own tables, and because broadcasters have opened their eyes to what works, right? Everybody doesn't have to be white and male. Actually, you know, Black women can do well on TV as well. So it's easier now than it has been. But I think that still, that cattishness still exists. But if you unlock the potential inside yourself, if you're able to see beyond the material things, or just doing that hit on TV, or, you know, just being on that program, that all comes with unlocking your potential. It all comes with thinking bigger, thinking outside what you've been told you're capable of, and actually realizing that you can do so much more. So you don't need to involve yourself in cattishness. You don't need to involve yourself in meanness and bitchiness and all that. You don't need to do that. So everybody has that potential within them, but it's whether you really want to unlock it and think bigger is really up to yourself. But I actually do think that takes women getting together and women helping each other unlock their own potential. You know, women like Marcy, women like yourself, making other women realize that, you know what, we don't actually have to be in competition.
We're not in competition.
And we don't have to. I think it was Madeleine Albright that said about Hillary Clinton, right? When she was on the campaign trail in 2016, there's a special place in hell for women who don't help other women. Couldn't agree with her more.
You're absolutely right. So, Marcy, how do we, you know, Prophetess mentioned about us being catty, and, you know, and so has Ifwa. How do we stop that? How do we really support ourselves as women? You know, we say it, but are we actually doing it?
I think it starts on all levels, you know, as mothers. It starts with us. It starts with ensuring we speak positive words to our children. When I say mothers, I don't mean biological mothers. I'm talking about women who are in a position to influence another young woman or another woman her age. Speak life into people. It starts with that. A lot of people, I mean, we all grew up with issues with rejection and not feeling that we were good enough because of the words that were spoken over our lives. And if we could start off by just encouraging each other and speaking life, instead of being critical of each other. We're all not the same, you know. The fact that you do it this way doesn't mean I do it this way. We need to start with that. Speaking life into each other and encouraging each other and supporting each other with prayer and just loving each other unconditionally. It doesn't take much. If you love somebody unconditionally, you don't judge them. You know, people are on different journeys, and, you know, you may have gone through something, you may have arrived somewhere, but someone might be 2-3 steps behind you. Doesn't mean that they're not good enough. It just means that they haven't managed to get where you are yet. So it starts with encouraging each other and speaking positive words into each other. I mean, after all, our thoughts create our reality, you know, and so we do need to make sure we do that. Those of us who are Christians, you know, sometimes I find that, you know, in as much as we don't mean it, sometimes we are the ones that don't encourage those who feel are not Christian yet. You know, you were once a non-Christian, maybe. The fact that you are, you know, this whole thing about righteousness, being too self-righteous, doesn't help the other woman. You know, so it's just loving each other unconditionally. And when you do, you see people as what they are. And, you know, the more you love people, the more they blossom. I've seen it happen so many times. People that have been written off, and all they needed was someone to say, you're good enough, you're beautiful, you're clever, you can do it. No matter how many times you fall, it's okay, I'm with you. Get up. We're on this journey together. We fall together, we rise together. That is what people need. And once you give them that ground, they start to find, I got purpose. There's a reason why I'm here. And then they start to grow.
Prophetess Crystal Grace Ofori says, I don't really agree. Not everyone is a modern day Yaa Asantewaa. You have to hone in on your own talents and activity to be dynamic. How do you see that comment? You're on mute.
It's kind of mimicking off of what I did say, that not everyone is considered a modern day woman until there's a mind shift, until we see your hands to the plow, until we can see the evidence of your fruit. So I don't know if she was talking to me, but I did say that I don't agree that everyone is, until you begin to really find out who you personally are. Then we can consider you as that. Because I believe that once you understand and have an understanding of who you are, your true self comes out. You are not easily moved by people. You're not jealous. You're actually more encouraging. You're more at peace. When you're more at peace with yourself, you tend to encourage others.
Yes.
Couldn't agree more. Well, what do you think about this comment?
The one about not everyone being a modern day Yaa Asantewaa?
No, the one that's on the screen now.
We are so challenged in every sector. Let's be compassionate with each other, ladies. We're on the same boat. Absolutely. Every single industry, every single sector, every single job, whether you work in the health service, whether you're a lawyer, whether you're in ministry, whether you're a journalist, everybody has their challenges. Every sector has their challenges. But you know what Marcy said about somebody just speaking goodness into your life, encouraging you, is so, so powerful. I actually welled up when she said that, because I think that is what I can recognize that in myself, actually, is that all you really need is someone to encourage you, to believe in you and your talents, and then it unlocks everything, and all of a sudden you see your potential. And when you believe in yourself, then everybody else does. And I think it comes back to what I was saying earlier on about choosing yourself and loving yourself. Until you love yourself, you can't expect anybody else to. Until you believe in your own talents, how can you expect anybody else to? Do you know what I mean? And I think that is just so important. I'm the type of person, my friends will always laugh at me for this. I'm the type of person, if I see a woman out and she's got a nice outfit, I'm going to stop you. I'm going to tell you that from head to foot, you look amazing. And I'm loving what you're wearing. I don't even want your outfit. I just need you to know that you look incredible. And that is free. It's free. And I love doing that. And then women do it to me. And when you get that, you get a little bounce, have a little bounce in your step for the rest of the day. And it's really important to sow into others. It's really important to encourage other women. But I do agree with what Prophet has said. You have to be at a place of peace to do that. You have to be in a place where you yourself are okay with you. You're happy with where you are. But pouring into others, you get it back 1,000-fold, and it's the best thing. But if someone hadn't given me a chance, taken a chance on me in every single one of the opportunities I would have had, I wouldn't be sitting here where I am today. And I'm not paying lip service, but Denta, you were one of those people, who nominated me for awards, who has always brought me in. You blazed a trail for me to come through. Without women like yourself, I might not be on Good Morning Britain. I might not be doing all these things that I'm doing. It doesn't cost you anything, but it comes back 1,000-fold, and that's really important.
Thank you so much. And I think that's really important. And Crystal wanted to say that she was agreeing with you, Prophetess. She wasn't saying that she didn't agree, so I must say that before she feels a bit sad and down about it. But who were your role models growing up, and why did they inspire you so much? I'll start with Afua.
Oh wow, that's a good question. I would say Moira Stewart, who was a legendary newsreader who was on British television. She was on BBC for years. She was definitely an inspiration to me. My mum, certainly, she's a nurse. She worked in the NHS for God knows how many, 30 or more years. She was definitely an inspiration to me as well. And in fact, I think these two women in tandem, I mean, my mum kind of looks like Moira Stewart as well. So I kind of felt like they were sisters, just pushing me into what I wanted to do. And I think my mum kind of harbored a secret want to be a journalist. You know, her uncle was quite a famous journalist in Ghana, and so when I started talking about perhaps I wanted to do that for a career, she was so supportive. And we know sometimes that Ghanaian parents, not always the most supportive unless you want to be a lawyer, an accountant, or a doctor. Anything in between, it's not really an option. So when I said, you know, writing, journalism, my mum was like, yes, do it. You know, I had this uncle and he went to this school, and he went to London School of Journalism, which was absorbed by, you know, my university, City University. So I essentially ended up going to the journalism school that he did. And, you know, my mum was so instrumental in laying that path for me and, you know, encouraging me to go to university interviews. I grew up in Glasgow, but I went to university in London. So that was a massive move to make it 17 years old. But she was like, you can do it. You know, you can do anything that you want to do. You can be as successful as my uncle or even more successful. You know, you can blaze that trail, tell those stories. But being a Black girl from Scotland moving to London to be a journalist actually sounds mad when I say it out loud. But I wouldn't have been able to do it without, first of all, seeing women like Moira Stewart on screen, and secondly, having mum in my corner pushing me every single step of the way. And, you know, now she will watch every single thing that I do, has collected every single article I've ever written or has been written about me. She has everything saved, you know, in big folders. If you ever go to my house in Ghana, she like fans out old issues of magazines from 2007 that I worked on. You know, she just has them on. Mum, it's so old. She's like, no, I'm reading this one from 2007. Okay, fine. But yeah, I would say Mum and Moira in tandem got me here today.
That's powerful. And I think I know who Ma sees one. I think it's your mother as well. Because at the
Definitely my mother.
Yeah, of your speech, you mentioned that, you know, your mother was a Yaa Asantewaa, so you had no choice than to be a Yaa Asantewaa yourself. But I'll let you describe the reasons why you felt that your mum is your role model, and if you have any others as well.
I mean, it wasn't just my mom. Definitely my grandmom. I think my grandmom first, because, you know, when I actually called my grandma mum and called my mom's sister growing up. You know, so it was definitely my grandmother first, and then my mom, and I had other aunties. My godmother, rest her soul, she was, you know, Indian, married to my uncle, Auntie Adi. But interestingly, I had male role models too. As far back as I can remember, I had very strong male role models. I'm actually a lawyer today because I was surrounded by 3 very, very renowned lawyers when I was growing up. Sami Okujeto was one of them. Nutifafa Kwenye here, who's Elikem's father, was one of them. And then the late lawyer Akufu was one of them. So I definitely wanted to be like my uncles. I don't know whether that's odd, but looking back, you know, I equally was encouraged by a lot of men in my life. And I've had breaks in my life throughout my career. That has not just been women. Men have played an instrumental part in my path. And of course, you know, I feel like I've had 3 different phases of my life. Post my cancer journey, definitely my children. What have I ever achieved after the diagnosis? The will to want to live for those children. Definitely my children also are my role models.
Wow.
You know, the fact that they had to just be there and see me go through what I went through and encourage me. I mean, my oldest daughter is also a journalist, as you know. She's one of the strongest people I know. You know, and my children are the strongest people I know, so they inspire me. I take inspiration from everybody. Denta, it's weird. You know, so when I'm always asked this question, it always starts off with my mom, but I'm inspired by so many people that I pick from everybody, you know, the good in everybody and the struggles people have gone through. And I'm inspired by all that is around me.
Amazing. Thank you, Marcy. Prophetess, who is your role model?
Well, I would say that we're all in the same boat when it comes to role models. I believe that my mom is one of my role models, probably the most significant one. And I say that because she also had 6 children as well too. My mom has been able
Oh my
to
gosh.
build. Yes, she has 6 children. So I have 5 other siblings. But she, was a wife, in the good times and the bad times. She was a good wife. She taught me certain things.
Yeah.
And then when it came to entrepreneurship, she used to sell all types of things. She would sell jewelry, you name it. My mom has sold it, lace and Tomas. She's done it all. And so she taught me that, to have your own and to support your husband if you're going to be a helpmeet. And then she also, one of the reasons why I'm so strong in my faith is because of my mom again. I've seen her physically on her knees crying out for me, my marriage, my life, my schooling. And I was like 6 years old. I saw her literally crying out. And so when I saw her doing that, it inspired me. And she's one person, even now that I'm grown, I have a lot going on. I think my mom is one of the realest people I know because she'll tell me, Mommy, I messed up in this area of my life. This is what I did. And I don't want you to go down this path. I want you to make sure you're very vigilant that you don't say certain things or walk down this path. And I think that's so inspiring because many people, they don't have the benefit of their mom telling them that this is where I went wrong. It's most of the time, don't do this or don't do that, or they just pull away and say you're grown. But my mom, some way, somehow, has managed to still keep the boundary and still respect me as a woman. But she allows me to know where she fell short and how great she would have become if she would have done certain things.
Yes.
And I think she's so great for doing that because it encourages me, it inspires me. My mom is always there. Imagine your husband leaving you with 6 children. The lady has stood. She stood financially. She stood spiritually. She stood, and she still looks good. So that's where I get that you gotta look good.
I love that. I love that. So, all of you have mentioned your mothers. And so you as mothers, how are you creating the same thing for your children to be able to say, my mother was my inspiration? How are you doing this as mothers?
For me, I would say, I have 2 girls, and my daughter, she's started Barbie dolls. Both of them love Barbie dolls, but I've been intentionally showing them that this black Barbie with Afro hair is beautiful. Like, I'm instilling certain things in them. I'm teaching them how to be respectful. I'm teaching them certain things now because the Bible says, spare the rod and you spoil the child. And so I'm being very, very much into training her the way she should go, or both of them for that matter. And when I'm doing something, even, if they were here right now, they probably would be sitting next to me and I would be explaining to them, Mommy just finished preaching, but now she has to do an interview, sit with me. So I'm showing them the process. The Bible says, train up a child the way they should go. And when they grow, they won't depart from it. And so I truly believe that when you lead by example, then you have testimonies from your kids calling you blessed. And they say that my mom, is such a great woman. So
Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I remember one time my son was doing something in school, and I think it was like Black History, must have, yeah, I think it was like Black History Month. And the teacher said to me, what do you do? Because your son wrote this amazing, piece about you. And like she said that she showed all the teachers because she was just like, what Nakwari, my oldest son, wrote was so inspiring that she had to show all the teachers, because she was like, and then she came up to me, she goes, I've never actually asked you what you do, but what is it that you do? Because your son just wrote this amazing piece about you. And when you hear that as a mother, that alone encourages you that you are on the right path. Like they know about their mother. They don't have to look elsewhere. Yes, they can, but at least they know that in the home they have somebody they can look up to. And in the letter, the piece, he wrote that he's going to take over Guba. And she was like, what is Guba? And and I had to explain to her, and I was like, oh, so he wants to take over Guba. Okay,
now you know.
now I know. But I think it's so important for us to. I take my children to meetings. I take them to, sponsorship meetings. I take them to, I take them everywhere with me. I remember, when Anije came to Ghana first, and I had to go meetings, and he was sitting in the car, and he was like, Mama, I know you're going to a meeting. Can I come with you? Because at first I was just leaving him in the car with my driver, and then quickly dashing off to a meeting. And then he was like, no, Mama, can I come? I'll sit. I promise, And I swear to you, every time that I took him to a meeting, there was more favor, because it was like, people were like, oh my goodness, Denta, and, yeah. And then he would probably start making some noise, and it's like, okay, let me just quickly, sign this sponsorship very quickly. So actually there was no more questions about, about what the company is going to get, because it was just like, you have to take care of him. Let me just quickly, sign the pack and get going. And so it's vital. And how are you doing it? Because your daughter is gorgeous, and I see her confidence, that you are instilling something in her. How are you doing it?
You know what? I'm the same as you. I've from when she was 6 weeks old. So I got a job working at BBC One Extra doing entertainment reporting when I was 36 weeks pregnant. Can you imagine? And I was like, can I just defer? Just gonna pop out this baby and then I'll be back. And I started when she was 6 weeks old. I was only going in once a week, but I would take her in a baby carrier, and she met all the bands, Usher, Kings of Leon, whatever, when she was tiny. And I just used to take her with me. And I've always taken her with me. I've taken her on shoots. She is the best field producer you will ever find. If you ever need a field producer, Naima is your girl. She's so good. She'll be in the room with me when I'm doing live. She's done breakfast TV with me. It's all about showing her, first of all, that Mummy is using her voice in the right way. I want her to know that through all the things that happened with the resurgence of the Black Lives Matter movement last year, and every story that I've ever talked on, I want her to know that I was on the right side of history, and that she's able to trace back, and when Mummy stood up for this person, or Mummy said this, or Mummy spoke about that. And I'm going in actually to her school to talk about this for Black History Month on Tuesday. And I'm doing it with her class. And she's delighted. She's like, Mummy's famous. And she's coming into school. She's like our Black History person of the day. But she's like real. And I'm like, okay, make it make sense. But I take her everywhere with me. I show her every side of the job, from when I'm on screen to when I'm writing scripts. I explain everything to her. But I also say to her, you don't have to necessarily do what I want to do, but anything you can do anything, and you're going to be the best at it. And I tell her that every single day. She wants to be a vet. So we wrote to the head of the Royal College, the Royal Society of Vets, and it happens to be a Black woman that I know. So they now keep in touch, and she's doing all the things that she needs to do to get to that goal when she's older. I think it's just about showing her that Mummy can do anything and do everything and still be mum, and that she can do that too. It's just instilling that confidence and showing her that, you can unlock your potential the same way that I did. And she's just, she's so much fun to have around. I love bringing her to work with me because she just makes it so joyous. And like I said, the best field producer right there, I'm telling you.
Oh, amazing. Marcy, anything to add?
Well, definitely lead by example. An example means opening up to your children and being truthful about the difficulties and the weaknesses that you have too. and the mistakes that you made too. And, Africans, we have this standard story that we usually tell our children of how we're always first in the class and we were the best ever child and all of that, and they lose it. You were it. You were it. You were worse than that daughter of yours. Please, tell them about the struggles. How difficult it is. I have one son. I have 5 daughters. I would rather be the one they come to first, regardless of what they're going through. Even if they were on drugs, I would want my children to find solace in me and speaking to me about it first. I'd want to be the go-to person because I'm not judgmental. If they're struggling, I should be the one they come to first because they feel safe talking to me. They don't feel like they've got these high expectations of them. We've all made mistakes. We've all been young. We've all done dumb, stupid things. We've done all sorts of things. Opening up about our lives to our children is absolutely important because, they tend to go. I've got adults now. My oldest daughter is nearly 29 and my last is 18. Some other stage where they're going through their own adult and struggles in their own lives. And, sometimes they share things with me and I say, oh, I know I've been there. And they look at me and think, oh, really? It's like, yeah, of course I've been there. You thought I was all put together like this? No, I've been there. I've had insecurities. I've had doubts. I've had all sorts of things happen to me. I think it's important that we share those stories and experiences also with our children. And other people who look up to us as role models and mentors. It goes beyond that. Let's be open and share the weaknesses also.
Okay, Marcy, can you read the statement that's on the screen?
Yes, we're mentioning the material a lot, understandably, but I do think we have a challenge with our current forms of masculinities in Africa and the diaspora.
Yeah.
What do I say to this? I would love a bit more what he means by different forms. It's a difficult one. I take my cue from the Bible when it comes to male and female roles, right? My mom always said, if I had to put it in the context of the family, that the man is the head of the home and the woman is the neck that turns the head. I've always believed in the corporate world that in as much as I'm fighting for a place at the table or I want to create my own table, I'm not in competition with no man because
that's right.
There's power in being feminine. So I've always treaded very cautiously when it comes to debates and conversations that seek to pitch men against women. Men have their roles. Unfortunately, there are a lot of men who also don't understand their roles as men, and equally women who also don't understand their roles as women. I think that I always go back to purpose, and I do it for a reason. Once you know what your purpose is as a man, you don't even fight women because you understand that your role is to protect women as God protects you. Okay, so I find this topic very difficult to talk about to a certain extent because I really don't believe in that pitching. The man and the women, look, within the corporate world, yes, there are a lot of issues that need to be fixed, right? Clearly. But
I think she's come back to
pointing the finger. Yes, we're not in competition, exactly.
Yeah.
Men and women can be partners together, exactly. we're not in competition. Like I said before, in my career as a lawyer, the people who have actually helped me through this journey have been men and not women. I'm being very honest. I'd say 80% of the people that I call mentors within the legal profession have been men. But I can understand that I just happened to have fallen within a circle of some females who probably didn't know what their purpose was and saw me as competition, maybe. They had their own journeys and they weren't in the right place in their own journeys. So it would have been unfortunate for me to expect them to feed into me when they were not full themselves, So I've never really, so I think you're right. We do need to work together, and I find that on these platforms and many other platforms, there's always that man who comes in and, men are equally rooting for us. Yes, there are quite a lot of them out there who are not doing the right thing, but have you thought about the fact that they also have issues to deal with? They've been raised, we find that in our generation, for instance, our mothers have raised a certain type of men. Okay, they were the strong women and they spoiled their sons, but they made their daughters stronger. Because there's this dynamic going on where in my generation, for instance, I noticed that there are a lot of strong women because our mothers were trying to give us what they didn't have. And by doing that, some of them neglected their sons and spoiled their sons. So we're having to deal with some men who are not really standing in their masculinity. So, we all have issues, whether male, female, and we need to deal with those issues and work together to make it happen. I mean, enough of the male bashing. Enough of the male bashing, guys.
Professor, is there anything to add to that?
I agree with Marcy 125%, if that's a thing, because there's this rhetoric going around that there is supposed to be some unbalanced something. I think most of the time we see maybe one or two people who have gone through something and we like to generalize, but there are men out there. My husband, for instance, he actually pushes me to be and to do more than I even want to do sometimes.
Yeah.
And so that narrative sometimes that narrative, it has to change at times because not all men were raised in a certain way. There are women who raised their men right. My husband, literally, he is we're in church right now, as you can see, and he's holding the fort. He's talking to people, greeting people. He said, babe, go do what you got to do. There's not all men suppress women. And maybe because I'm a Christian and I would assume most of us are, if not, that's fine. But even in Christendom, I would assume that if I'm doing what I have to do, he's doing what he has to do. It's a cycle. I respect him. He loves me. And we continue. And there's no suppression. I'm the one who preached today. Most people can't work with their wives in ministry. I just finished laying down the mic, and that's why it took a while. They had to curl my hair over because I had sweated it out. And so there's a rhetoric that we need to stop. And not everyone is bold enough to say what Mama C said. Like, not all men are bad. If you had a bad experience or know of someone, let's not blanket the whole African men diaspora. No, there's good men in Africa, in the diaspora, who are of descent, who actually push the whole Yaa Asantewaa vision.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And I need to add my husband to that pile because, like you said, he Marcy, he pushes like the dentard that you see is because of him. And he allows me to be in LA right now for the last 2 weeks doing my thing, You know,
Yeah.
he allows me to, you know, to fly. And even when I'm worried about, oh, maybe I'm spending too much time out, he's like, what? I've got this. You go and do this. You know, and so there
That's
are
right.
some great men out there who will encourage you, who will push you. And you know, we just need to know our roles, like Marcy said, you know. And I think that, you know, we shouldn't, like you said, there's lots of men that's in my life that push me as well, that encourage me all the time. But I think that, you know, this topic is about Yaa Asantewaa, but it doesn't mean that we are putting the men down. We're just talking about how powerful
Down, yeah.
us women are. You know, we're not putting any man down at all in this topic. So we need to make sure that that's, you know, very, very clear out there. So, you know, I know we've gone over time because and lots of people are like very engaging with the conversation. But I'll ask 2 more questions and then we will wrap it up. Let me see which one I should go to because I had loads of questions. Okay. What advice would you give to a woman trying to manage family life, work, and leadership roles they might find themselves in? What advice would you give them? Prophetess.
That life is in seasons, life is in phases, and learning how to understand the phase will cause peace. It's very important to understand, you know, if I'm 9 months pregnant, I not expect myself to do what I was doing when I wasn't pregnant or even one month pregnant. And so I think when you have an understanding of seasons, then you are okay with your current season. Perhaps it's a season just to breastfeed. It can be very overwhelming. It can be a lot. But a year from now, you won't have that baby to breastfeed anymore. So when you understand that life is in phases, then you enjoy that breastfeeding time. You're like, this won't last forever. So let me just enjoy it. But when you have no knowledge that life is in stages, phases, seasons, you think that you should be doing everything all the time. And this is what happens with burnout. You burn yourself out trying to be a million and one things, and then you end up in bitterness. You hate everyone. You're just mad at the world. Understand that life is in seasons. It's in phases, and every season will pass. So sometimes you just have to learn how to deal with the current season and hope for a next better one. And I think that helps a lot.
If we're
Yeah, I think I would definitely agree with that. I mean, it's the juggle, isn't it? And people always ask me that question. How do you do it all? How do you do all the things you do? And I really hate that question because I don't know. I don't know how I do it all. I just do it. I just wake up every day and I do it. It just gets done, you know? And I think it's about finding the balance. I mean, we talked about the men in our lives, and I have to add my husband to the pile of great men out there. And you know,
can't wait for the wedding. Can't wait for the
wedding. But it really helps you unlock your potential even more when you find yourself someone who's genuinely got your back, who pushes you to do the things you've always wanted to do, who makes it easy for you to be in LA for 2 weeks, to go from Ghana to London to Kigali and back and do all the things that you want to do, to push yourself further. And you know, once you have that in your life, I think it makes it much easier. And then, you know, you can manage everything. But I think it's always about knowing when to stop, knowing when to rest and not to quit. And that's something I really had to teach myself, like have a word with myself, speak to myself about that, because it's about resting and never quitting. Take breaks. You do not have to be everything to everyone all the time. Sometimes it's okay to just be you in your pajamas, watching Netflix, eating popcorn, and not doing that live, not writing that article, not talking about that topic. It's actually okay to say no. And there's power in no. And there's power in
Yes.
reclaiming
Yes.
time for yourself,
Yes.
to sow back into yourself so you can pour into others. So yeah, I guess that's what I would say. Yeah.
Yes. I love that. Marcy.
Okay, I mean, I think you all said what I was going to say. What I will add to it is, look, the seasons make so much sense. You know, for me, it's knowing what season you're in. I'm about to turn 52, and I've got an article coming out which I'm going to title 52 or 25 doesn't matter. And the reason I'm writing this is because sometimes we feel like time is running away. You know, even in my career, I've always had my children had a career, but I've been in the past a bit resentful because I wish I could do a lot more, but because I had children, it was difficult to juggle it. And sometimes God will do things to stop you in your tracks. One of those, you know, was when about 10 years ago, I had to relocate the kids back to England after setting up a very successful law firm in Ghana. And then for health reasons, I had to move back to the UK. And I thought God was taking me back, but God needed me for that season. And the season was to be with my children. And in actual fact, it was in that very season that He redirected my career into something completely different, which I'm known for now, which is banking and finance law. When I look back now, I'm 52. I've got my last daughter is about to go to university next year. And I still have a minimum of 30 years of my life to achieve so much. Age is nothing. Don't run because you think it's age and I have to do this before I'm 25 and I have to buy a house by the time I'm 35. Whose season are you on? It has to be God's season. And God's season for you is not the same as His season for Prophetess Leslie, or we all on our own, and stop comparing each other. Okay, so she got married at 25 and had 5 children. So, and she had a career at 25. You know, everybody has a season, you know, and you're not perfect. So sometimes, like, say, you know, the gift of saying no, I had to learn the gift of saying no at some point, where, and knowing that saying no was expressing love. You know, because I was a yes person. I couldn't say no to anybody. Can you do this for me? Yes, I can. Even to my children. I've learned the gift of saying no, you know. So yeah, that's what I'll add to it. It's knowing the season in which you are.
Absolutely. I'll just go to, somebody sent me this. Elon Musk at the age of 23 had just $1. 2021 at the age of 50, he has 200 billion. So age, like Marcy says, it does not matter. Everybody will have their season and everybody's journey is different, right? Yep. Every single one of us, his journey is different. We've all been through something different. And I think that, you know, it's important to embrace that. You know, that yes, you look up to Marcy and you respect Marcy's journey, but your one's going to be different. Your one is going to be different. So my last question is, when we are celebrating your 100 years legacy, what would you want your legacy to be? I'll start with F1.
Oh, what would I love this question actually when I saw it when you sent me them. I think my legacy would be that I was someone who gave a voice to the voiceless. I was someone who stood up for people. I was someone who told stories of communities with grace, with heart, and with power. That's how I want to be remembered. And I want to blaze a trail for women who are like me, who are dark-skinned, who are of African descent, who want to be on TV, who want to tell stories. I want to blaze a trail so there's so many women that can come behind me to take my place, because I don't want to be on TV forever. I'm not going to look like this forever. And you've got to be able to open the door for other women. So I want other women to come behind me in
Yes.
my name and say, when you asked me, like, who did you look up to? I want women to say, oh, Afia Don, when she was on TV, I want to do what she did and do the reports that she did. So I want to blaze a trail and make space for more women like me to tell stories that are important, stories that need to be told, and give a voice to the voiceless.
Beautiful, beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Marcy.
I'd like to leave a whole generation of young women who were inspired by me, who are empowered to reach their potential. Women who can say that because of her, she loved unconditionally. She pushed me. She saw the potential in me and she never gave up on me. And because of her, I am what I am today. An ethical leader, a fearless leader, but one who embraces the fact that she's a woman, who doesn't want to wear the trousers because she knows she's got power within her. Yes. I also want to influence a generation of young men who understand their roles in society, and also would say, because of this woman, I was able to walk in my purpose as a man and do the right things as a man and support other women. I've come to realize after the age of 50 that my gift is in inspiring and empowering and nurturing. God gave me 6 children because he wanted to build in me characteristics that would help me be able to share my gift with other people. And every difficulty that I have faced, he has used as a way to build character in me. Whether it was tenacity, whether it was when I was bankrupt, whatever it was, he was teaching me and preparing me. And if we start looking at our lives as that, then look, in this journey, even what we call difficult, God is using it to teach us so that he can equip us to live our purpose. And my purpose is to tell each and every one of you listening to me that go deep within yourself and find your God-given purpose. And you are special. Remember that. You're special. That's what I want to be remembered for.
Thank you, Marcy. Thank you so much. Prophetess, how would you like to be remembered?
Phenomenal answer. It's very inspiring. I would agree with them and also add that, the Bible says that we leave, a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children, Proverbs 13:22. And I want to leave a legacy for men and women, not just women. And I want to leave a legacy that proves that you can coexist and still succeed. I would like to leave an abstract legacy that someone can say that lady that once was a light. She inspired me to think out the box. She inspired me to go against the grain. She inspired me to love the Lord. I pray that one day when I leave this earth, the first thing that anyone would be able to say is that I genuinely stood in my faith, unwavering. And that caused so many people to come to the saving knowledge of Christ. I pray that one day my legacy would allow people to understand that you can be all things through Christ who strengthens you, be it a woman or a man. And I pray that one day it will be said that my children's children are in line with the things of God and are entrepreneurial, they're pioneering, they're apostolic. And because of that, a generation and another generation and another generation have been blessed by my presence and the way that I was pioneering and forthcoming. And so I pray that God just makes my forehead like flint, just to keep bulldozing through every single obstacle, even if it looks crazy. That's what I want my legacy.
Amen.
Oh, amazing.
Amen.
3 powerful legacies. And I'm sure what you have said is what will definitely happen. I'm
Amen.
sure Yaa Asantewaa is listening to us right now saying, you know what, I'm so proud of you girls. I'm so proud of you ladies. And I really want to encourage you all, prophetess, you know, this month, I really want you to talk about the Yaa Asantewaa story at church and just let women know how courageous this woman was. If for any chance that you get, while speaking on TV, or if you can write something about this amazing woman, this is the time that I feel we need to be celebrating this great woman who we have all come from. You know, we have all had the opportunity to listen to her story and we can relate to her story. Okay. And I'm sure that thousands of millions of women can relate to her story. So let's celebrate this woman in an amazing way, as much as possible. This is her month. And so, you know, I'm encouraging you all, Marcy, any chance that you get when you're speaking, let's mention the Yaa Asantewaa, because I think that it's really important that we do so. And I thank you all for joining me. I know it's supposed to be 1 hour, but I snuck in an extra 30 minutes. It's been an incredible conversation. The audience is just, you know, they are so happy. They are engaged. They think that, you know, this was the most powerful session that they've listened to. I'm sure that we will definitely come again and do another panel of another conversation soon. But thank you all, prophetess. Thank you, Afua. Thank you, Marcy, for joining me on the show. I respect you women so much. You are all beautiful inside and out. And I pray that everything that you have said, all of us will have a legacy of that 100 years that somebody will be talking about us as well. God bless you all and have a good evening.
Amen. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you. Oh, what an inspirational show today. I'm just like, I'm taking it all in and I'm just like, these women, oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Make sure that you follow them on social media as well. They are such an amazing, you know, women from different backgrounds, you know, and you heard what they were saying. It's just so, it's so beautiful. I love these women. Guys, continue to be great women. Continue to encourage the men as well. We don't leave them out. And continue to be you. Know that your journey and your path will be different. Let's not be jealous. Let's not hate. Let's love. Show that strength. Even when you're feeling a bit down and somebody else needs that encouragement. Like Ifwa says, you know, go up to a woman and says she's beautiful. If you think she looks beautiful, you know, if you think she has that beautiful dress or the beautiful hair, go out there and say that. Trust me, it makes a world of a difference. I've seen women that I've said, oh my God, you look gorgeous. And I've been told, oh my God, Dente, you look amazing. And it makes you feel like, maybe I do. You know, sometimes you might not feel that gorgeous, but somebody telling you that, and be your sister's keeper. Be your sister's keeper as much as you can. I thank you all once again for joining me on the show. Next week, we'll have another show for you, another exciting topic. Please do subscribe, please like, and please share. Let's make sure that you share this conversation because I think that it will definitely impact on another woman. Again, thank you to World Remit for sponsoring this show. You can join up to 5.7 million people who are sending money back home. Go to www.worldremit.com. Take care. God bless you all. Thank you for watching the show. Bye-bye.